chain when I pass in the street. Bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flame out. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.
What is going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson. Yes, in for the Sports Arena on a Monday night, the last Monday in January. And as you know, the Super Bowl is set. Huge things that we have to talk about. And I am personally not going to waste any time. I know you see the new merchandise. You like it. Y'all know where to go cop it at. But anyhow, let's break into the NFC and AFC Conference Championship games. Now, first off, come on, people. For all the talk, for all the doubt, for all the worriment that existed outside of the 215, the 610, the 484, y'all know, everybody thought that this rookie, who, as I said, Jaden Daniels is in fact a generational talent, okay? Listen, I get it. This young man has a very prosperous and long career, barring he stays healthy. We know what Jaden Daniels is capable of. We know what Terry McLaurin is capable of. Dan Quinn has this offense truly coming together and out of the doldrums of being a team that consistently is being looked at more for draft picks rather than victories and playoff appearances. Okay? Think about it like this. The Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday met for the 181st time. But it was the first time that those two teams met in the NFC Championship game. Marinate on that for a minute. So we know what Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders are, both offensively and defensively. Bobby Wagner proved himself to be a stud when he was in Seattle and now is using his leadership and his experience to bring up the defense of the Washington Commanders. But make no mistake about it. When you have a Nakobe Dean, when you have a Zach Bond, when you have a Reed Blankenship, when you have a Darius Big Play Slay, a Jalen Carter, a Jordan Davis, those young men, and I emphasize the term young, are going to be the defense in the NFC East that is not only going to be formidable, but at sometimes is going to be, dare I even say, and I will say it because I'm a fan, unstoppable. Listen, this game for the first half, let me be very clear, had me on the edge watching Philadelphia versus Washington. It's what it was. It's the rubber match. Philadelphia, earlier in the season, beat Washington in Philadelphia. Washington, in turn, that did the same. And so when it came to this, we knew what to expect. But as a fan of the team, I could not even have imagined. As a fanatic, I can tell you, we knew we stood to blow them out. One thing you never want to do is give the opposing team any extra bulletin board material. And that's exactly what Washington did. Ultimately, in my opinion, causing them to lose. But more than that, if you're the New York Football Giants right now, how are you feeling? Like seriously, as a fan base, as a team, as an organization, as an owner, head coach, former players who are still on the team, how do y'all feel knowing that Saquon Barkley, one of the most pure talents, not only is this man humble and a gentleman and a true football player, but has the speed, the agility, the versatility, and just the dialed-in focus to say, yes, I left a situation and now I am somewhere here, I am somewhere else, but I am going to maximize the most of my opportunity, and doing it in his first year. Well, the talk has always been, What would Saquon be able to do if he had an offensive line? Well, guess what? When you throw in a Landon Dickerson, a Cam Jurgen, a Lane Johnson, a Jordan Mailata, that is what Saquon Barkley can do. Setting the tone, of course, with the first touchdown on the first set of plays in Philadelphia. Philly did what I knew they were capable of, and what all Eagles fans knew what they were capable of. Again, it was those outside who were questioning, could Jalen Hurts throw the ball? Why is this team so predicated on running the ball? Well, duh, we got Saquon. I mean, that's the easy answer. But aside from that, we got Kenneth Gainwell, and guess what? Shout out to Will Shipley getting his first touchdown, albeit in an NFC championship game. Granted, the game was pretty much at that point a foregone conclusion. But again, these two teams, Philadelphia and Washington, the matchup that we saw yesterday, the matchups that we saw this season between these two teams are going to be why Philadelphia and Washington are going to be the top two teams respectfully in this division. I don't want to see Dallas do much of anything, and clearly neither does Jerry, because he has opportunities to hire exceptional head coaches, bring them in and let them take his team to where he wants to go, but he still wants to control the narrative. So guess what? I've said it once. I'll say it 1,000 times. Jerry, you made your bed, sleep in it. But my brother, I'm telling you, until you relinquish control and let a head coach come in, have the reins to do what they are capable of doing, you can be a 12-5 team in the regular season, but you're never going to see an NFC championship game. Far be it, you're not going to see a Super Bowl. I understand you're going to make changes because guess what? That's what you do. But let's be clear. One of the reasons why we don't see Jeffrey Lurie or Howie Roseman during the regular season come down onto the field is because they are entrusting their coaching staff to do what they are paying them to do. And for Coach Nick Sirianni and for Coach Vic Fangio and for Coach Kellen Moore, that's exactly what they were capable of. Letting them do their job in order to be successful and returning to the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 seasons. Marinate on that one. I'm just getting started. Because when I come back, we're going to talk about the game that everybody was glued to. And that is the AFC game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. I'll be back in 10 seconds. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Your man, Eric Wilson, and huge shout out to my guy, Rob, following me on IG, man. Everybody that I've talked to has been saying the same sentiment. They've simply been saying ABC. Anybody but the Chiefs. So the game yesterday, the game that everybody was tuned into, let me tell you, when I say there were people who were glued from start to finish with this game because they wanted to see Buffalo, a team that was 0-6 in the postseason against Mahomes. They wanted to see Buffalo do the unthinkable, and unfortunately, that did not happen. Now, we can sit here and speculate. We can sit here and talk about all the things that coulda, shoulda, woulda happened. But at the end of the day, Buffalo, with the opportunities, plural, not just the one that everybody's talking about, the one that Josh Allen is just, this is why we call him Superman, because when you scramble to the right, as you're heading out of bounds, you throw the ball up in the air with a guy in a position to make a catch. And unfortunately, he did not. Giving Kansas City their ticket back to the Super Bowl. We've said this numerous times here on the Sports Arena. Since Patrick Mahomes has been in the league, his basement His basement has been the AFC Championship game. It truly is the Kansas City Chiefs and then stack rank whoever else you want to on both sides, AFC and NFC. But I have to echo the sentiment that J.J. Watt said yesterday after the game because it holds and resonates very true. In the 80s, we had Magic Johnson and the Showtime Los Angeles Lakers. And even though there were many greats during that time frame, you had to give respect to Magic Johnson. In the 90s, listen, it was Michael Jordan. And for a brief window in the NFL, it was the Dallas Cowboys with Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin and the rest of that crew. In the 2000s, who did we have? Well, let's see. You had Venus and Serena in tennis. You had Tiger Woods in golf. And you had Tom Brady. And for 2 decades, the NFL basically said, this is our guy. And all the other 31 teams were trying to figure out a way to stop Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. For 2 decades, Tom Brady was in the Super Bowl. 50%. The man went to 10 Super Bowls and won 7 of them. 6 with New England. And we were scratching our heads like, how are we going to beat him? I mean, God bless the dead, Steve Sabol of NFL Films had a saying and said, there are 31 teams in the NFL, and then there's the New England Patriots. This is what we're saying now about Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, Chris Jones, Steve Spagnuolo. If you want to be the man, you have to beat the man. It's just that simple. And yes, we have wonderful, exceptional, great talent in the NFL right now. We are seeing them hungrier, bigger, faster, stronger, more resilient. But guess what? At the end of the day, there can only be one. And right now, his name is Patrick Mahomes. When we stack rank the quarterbacks in the NFL, and typically you got to go through 4 or 5 in the AFC just to get to the NFC. What do we always say? There's Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts. Fill in wherever you want to. Now, I'm biased. I'm going to put Jalen right up behind, Josh and Patrick. Actually, I might put him above Josh because he's actually back in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years. Yeah, I'm going to say that again. But recognizing, understanding, and more importantly, respecting the greatness of the Kansas City Chiefs. You can love it, you can hate it, but you gotta respect it. I don't know what Buffalo needs to do because we always want to ask that question. What is the key missing piece that is going to help Buffalo get themselves not only back to the AFC Championship game, but to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs? And if you think about it, it's not what does Josh Allen need to do to beat Patrick Mahomes? It's what does Josh Allen need to do to beat Steve Spagnuolo? Because he's faced that defense numerous times. And whether it's Jones, whether it's Karlaftis, or anybody else, that defense finds a way to stop Superman. They are his kryptonite. Offensively, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Isaiah Worley, Juju Smith-Schuster, it doesn't matter. DeAndre Hopkins, you insert anybody into the mix of wide receivers and running backs with the Kansas City Chiefs. You got 15 and you got 87. Everything else is complementary. But the one thing I will say is when it's time for that team to step up and do what is necessary, they in fact do it. And they continually are showing you why. Even though Mahomes will sit there in a press conference and say, well, we didn't play our best ball. We could have done this better. We could have attacked this more. Our defense could have done this. They're still winning. Technically, they should be 16-1. Yes, they lost the final week to Denver. And there are those that say they didn't want to face Cincinnati because Cincinnati did their job. But here's the thing. Cincinnati's been the only team to beat Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. And I have to ask Cincinnati, where y'all at? Because y'all need to be in this mix. Can you win in September? But I digress. Buffalo, I truly hope that they can find the missing puzzle piece. Because what the world wanted to see from all the talk that I had seen, people thought it was going to be Buffalo and Washington. Or they thought maybe Washington would find a way to upset Philadelphia and it'd be Washington, Kansas City. But what we got is the rematch. The rematch from 3 years ago. It is Philadelphia versus Kansas City. We saw this in Arizona. We're going to see it in New Orleans. Somebody mentioned something to me, and I think it needs to be expounded upon. In Arizona, at Super Bowl 57, that was the first time that two black quarterbacks faced off in the Super Bowl. The first time. A couple years later, same two guys in the Super Bowl at quarterback. Speak to the evolution of the black quarterback in the NFL. What that means. Where we're at today in 2025. Now, yes, there are weapons on both sides of the ball, and both defenses are going to bring everything and then some. Vic Fangio versus Steve Spagnuolo is going to be a matchup that we are going to be, I mean, for lack of a better phrase, the wall's fitting to get tore down in New Orleans when these two defenses get on the field. Because you have experience versus youth. But you also have the opportunity at history. Kansas City, as we know, has the opportunity to do what no team in the NFL has done, and that is win back-to-back-to-back Super Bowls. The first ever three-peat. The only thing standing in their way is Philadelphia. Philadelphia, a team that for 52 years was the underdog. And up until the 2023-2024, the 2017-2018 NFL season, they did not taste that victory. But on that day in February, they did. Beating the greatest of all time, Tom Brady, quarterback, and winning their very first championship. Now you fast forward 6-7 years later. Different quarterback, different head coach, some of the same characters. Lane Johnson's still there. But now the page has been turned and is about to be written once again. But the evolution of the black quarterback in the NFL, I think the narrative really needs to be changed. And we need to eliminate the word black, because these two quarterbacks, what they have done is the reason why this position is one of the most, if not the most prominent position in the NFL. And I mean, no disrespect to Josh or Lamar or Justin or Joe or any of the other, even Dak, any of the other quarterbacks in the NFL. Yeah, that was a shot at Dallas because you know how I feel about him. But even Jaden Daniels, what I say to you is when you look across the landscape, how the game is played, the evolution, all the quarterbacks are doing what these two are becoming extremely proficient at. And not only is that managing the clock, not only is that winning games, but more importantly, it's being versatile. If you need either one of these quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts, to throw the ball, that's what they're going to do. If you need either one of these quarterbacks to take a sack as opposed to throwing an interception, that's what they're going to do. If you need either one of these quarterbacks to be mobile, that's what they're going to do. And every other quarterback in the NFL does the same thing in their own way. So again, the narrative looking at this not only needs to be addressed, but needs to be changed. Because across the board, you can base it on their merit. You can base it on their qualifications. You can base it on the fact that they are just willed and determined to win. But what you can no longer do is base it on the fact that these particular two quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, are not the very best at what they do. And everybody else needs to stand up and recognize that. We'll see what happens in New Orleans. I would give you my pick, but if you know me, you know well enough where I'm going. So that's not even a question. But I'll just tell you, yeah, I got Philly winning this game. Anyhow, when I come back, even though it is the NFL, and right now football is on top of everybody's mind, y'all know, with the WNBA being in off season, there are some trades being made that we've got to talk about. Give me a moment. I'll be back. You're watching the Sports Arena right here with your man, Eric Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, your man Eric Wilson here, back on the Sports Arena. And like I said, even though football's on top of everybody's mind, we have got to talk a little WNBA because trades are happening. And I want to talk about three in particular, three-team trade that happened. First off, this one right here. Kelsey Plum. Y'all know Kelsey Plum. This young woman is no longer with the two-time champion Las Vegas Aces. She is now heading to LA, Hollywood, to be a part of the LA Sparks. She is a part of a three-team trade deal. But I want to expand upon what all this entails for the Sparks. Because as we know, they've got a new head coach. Kurt Miller is now in Dallas. Cameron Brink, I believe, is on the mend. She is down in Miami with Unrivaled. She is training, rehabilitating, and preparing herself for the season. Rickea Jackson. This is a new look with this LA Sparks team. And now you add a shooter. Now you add someone who has learned from Asia Wilson, learned from Becky Hammon, and is going to be truly a leader in that locker room. The LA Sparks are a team that I truly believe we're going to be mentioning in the months of August and September come playoff time. And yes, part of it is because of the addition of Kelsey Plum, but more importantly, with new breeds life, experience, but also a determining factor of what to come. Because if she can springboard this team out of the bottom now 13 half of the league and bring them up to a 7 or a 6, I really feel that as this team progresses, the LA Sparks are going to be a team people are going to pay attention to. Now, with that being said, let's talk about this trade. Jewel Lloyd leaving Seattle and going to the Las Vegas Aces. Here's what I'm going to say to that and be very, I'll be very candid. What the Las Vegas Aces did by adding Jewel Lloyd, along with Chelsea Gray, Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, and the rest of that squad led by Becky Hammond, they are a two-time champion. What they did was put themselves in a position to say, we see you, New York. We see you, Minnesota. We're coming for what is rightfully ours. We're coming back for a WNBA final. Because the addition of the defense, the prowess, the understanding, the shooting, and just the overall knowledge of the game by Jewel Lloyd is going to, think about this. You are putting this talented woman on a team that is just built for championships. And inserting Jewel Lloyd into the mix, I'm going to fall back and tell y'all this one. If you're Connecticut, if you're New York, if you're Minnesota, be on the lookout because the Aces ain't playing this year. They are going to take back what they won 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and just might be the team to win 3 in 4 seasons. This last one, I think, is definitely beneficial for Seattle. Because when Stewie left and went to New York, Seattle was missing something. And now that Jewel Lloyd is going to Las Vegas, we know that size is going to be a factor. Adding this young lady right here is going to do that. An international player who has been on several teams, Chicago, New York, now here in Seattle, last team being the LA Sparks. She is going to give the Storm a chance at being in that Western Conference, if you will, going up against the Vegas Aces, who I just mentioned, going up against the Phoenix Mercuries of the world, going up against the LA Sparks of the world. And those are going to be some matchups that people are going to, again, pay attention to because of the composition that is the Seattle Storm. And of course, as you know, they have one of the greats always in their corner. That would be the one and only Sue Bird. So with this 3-team trade, what it says to me is with the addition of the Golden State Valkyries, 13th team, and then next season with the Toronto Tempo, and then moving forward to other teams, the shakeups, the matchups, this evolution over the next few years of the Women's National Basketball Association, if you weren't watching before, you have no excuse but to watch now. Because the talent is truly going to be every single year is going to escalate and elevate to newer heights, to more opportunities, and quite frankly, is going to be just so much fun to watch. It already is, but it's going to be even more as the years progress. And this is only the beginning of the 3-team trade. I'm sure more are going to take place as we roll into the WNBA draft in April and the start of the 2025 season. We shall see. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to do it for your man, Eric Wilson, for the Sports Arena. Yes, on a Monday night. Next time you see me, I will be in New Orleans for Super Bowl. So as they say, get your popcorn ready because there's a lot going on, and I can't wait. I'll talk to y'all soon. Everybody stay blessed. Peace.